I overheard my ex-fiance's Zoom meeting with roommates where she portrayed me as her human credit card, and her roommate said, "Squeeze every dollar." So I feigned ignorance, but the next afternoon moved all her possessions outside. Then my phone went crazy with voicemails from her and her squad. "Be me 31, lurking here forever. Finally have something worth posting. Name's Marcus. Work as a physical therapist at a sports rehab clinic in Chicago. Nothing fancy but stable job with good benefits. Always been the responsible type. Own my apartment. Decent savings. No crazy debt. Never thought being financially stable would make me a target. But here we are. Let me tell you how this whole mess started. 3 years ago, volunteering at this charity marathon run for the clinic. Regular Sunday morning thing. Handing out energy bars. Making sure no one passes out from dehydration. Basic stuff. That's when I first see Olivia, standing at the water station, looking way too perfect for someone handing out paper cups. Hair flawless despite the humidity. Makeup still fresh in 90-degree heat. Wearing designer athleisure to a volunteer event probably costs more than my monthly groceries. Think to myself, she's dressed more for Instagram than actually helping. Should have been my first warning sign. Red flag number 1 appears. She approaches me. In my 31 years of existence, drop-dead gorgeous women don't usually chase average guys in baggy volunteer shirts. But my ego's like, nah man, you're a catch. Brain immediately goes on vacation. She asks if I'm going to the post-run celebration. Her smile literally makes me forget my own name. Somehow manage to mumble something about maybe showing up. End up spending the entire evening with her at this craft beer place. Watching her laugh at my terrible jokes. Touching my arm every few minutes. Started counting after the 4th time. Couldn't believe it was real. She tells me she's 28, transitioning careers from hotel management to something called personal brand consulting. Nod like I understand what that means. Turns out it means absolutely nothing. First date was at this indie coffee shop. Somehow turned into dinner. Then cocktails. 7 hours passed like nothing. Didn't even notice the time flying by. Second date at some pretentious art gallery. She seemed to know literally everyone there. Air-kissing people left and right. Introducing me as Marcus, he works in sports medicine, making it sound like I'm some fancy doctor, instead of the guy who helps weekend warriors when they hurt themselves trying to relive their high school glory days. Looking back now, classic love bombing, but at the time, thought I'd finally found someone who appreciated me. What a fool. Fast forward 6 months. We're having brunch at this organic cafe. She casually drops this bomb. My roommate Victoria is absolutely insufferable. Used my expensive face serum again without asking, and our landlord is raising the rent to criminal levels. Long dramatic pause. Meaningful look in my direction. Wouldn't it make more sense for me to just move in with you? Your place is bigger anyway, and I'm there most nights. Made perfect sense at the time. Logical even. My apartment was nicer. Better location near downtown. We were spending almost every night together anyway. So I said yes, like an idiot. Helped her move approximately 95 boxes. Mostly clothes and makeup. Officially became a cohabitating couple. That's when the money stuff started. So gradual I barely noticed. Like how a frog doesn't jump out of hot water if you heat it slowly, or whatever that saying is. First it was rent day. "Oh babe, I'm between clients right now. Can I get you next month?" Then it was car troubles. My car needs a new transmission. Such bad timing with me starting my new business. Then some certification course. It costs more than they advertised, but it's an investment in our future. Always something. Always temporary. Always with a promise to pay me back. Once things stabilized, her business was always about to take off. The big client was always just around the corner. The collaboration was always happening next month. I'm not stupid. At least I didn't think I was. Have a master's degree. Can explain complex musculoskeletal issues to patients. Can do my own taxes. But somehow couldn't see what was happening. Right in front of my face. Told myself relationships have ups and downs. Sometimes one person carries more weight. While the other gets established, I was investing in us. And Olivia was always so appreciative. Making elaborate thank you dinners. Surprising me with concert tickets. To see bands I'd mentioned once. Later realized I was actually paying for all this. Through our joint expenses. She was essentially giving me gifts with my own money. Galaxy brain move on her part. After a year together, decided to propose. Got down on one knee at this fancy Italian place, where appetizers cost more than a regular dinner. Had the ring in my pocket all night. Almost lost it twice. Sweated through my dress shirt. Finally managed to ask without stuttering too much. She cried. Posted like 20 Instagram stories about it within an hour. Changed her profile pic to her hand with the ring. While we were still having dessert. Thought I'd sealed the deal on my happily ever after. Boy was I wrong. Once we got engaged, Things escalated faster than my gym clients, trying to get Beachbody ready with 2 weeks of training. Suddenly, we needed a wedding planner, who just happened to be her college friend Natalie. 0 successful weddings under her belt, but charged us double what experienced planners quoted. She gets my vision, Olivia explained. Plus, we're supporting a woman-owned business. Nothing says female empowerment quite like overcharging your friend's fiancé. Girl power at its finest. Next came the venue hunt. Every place I suggested got shot down immediately, for not being Instagram-worthy. Didn't even know that was a category venues could fall into. Apparently places are rated on a scale, from no one will like my photos, to will definitely make my followers jealous. We ended up booking this renovated warehouse, cost roughly the same as a semester at a private college, had character and perfect lighting, amazing backdrops for the photo booth, also had no air conditioning, and was next to an active factory. But hey, aesthetic is everything. Then came the ring upgrade drama. The original engagement ring, that I spent 3 months saving for, suddenly became inadequate. Babe, the stone doesn't catch the light right in photos, she told me one evening, casual as discussing the weather. Rebecca's fiancé got her a ring from this amazing jeweler. He does custom settings that are super photogenic. Rebecca, by the way, was her content creator friend, whose fiancé was literally heir to a restaurant chain fortune. But sure, let's compare ring budgets. Meanwhile, Olivia's personal brand consulting business was about as successful as a fish climbing a tree. From what I could tell, it consisted entirely of her posting selfies and outfits she couldn't afford, giving advice to her handful of followers about aligning your chakras with your business goals. Her workday routine was fascinating to witness. She'd spend 2 hours on makeup and hair, take about 300 photos in different poses, around our apartment, sometimes at trendy coffee shops, where she'd buy 1 matcha latte, and occupy a table for 4 hours, then spend the rest of the day editing 1 picture, writing captions like, "Hustle culture is toxic, choose alignment over achievement." Then she'd call it working. I wish my job let me count choosing a filter as billable hours. By this point I was covering everything. Rent, utilities, her car payment for a car nicer than mine, insurance, groceries, her phone bill, even her student loans some months. She'd contribute occasionally, just enough to maintain the illusion that we were partners, not a guy supporting his adult dependent. "It'll all even out once I land this big client," she'd say at least once a week. "I'm investing in myself now, so we can have a better future." Always we when it came to future money. Always me when it came to current expenses. One month she actually transferred me $200 for rent, then the same day asked for $350 for emergency Botox, because she had a really important meeting coming up. Math isn't mathing. The wedding planning was when she really ramped up the spending, to levels that would make a Kardashian financial advisor nervous. We're talking $8,000 for a dress. It's actually cheap for a designer. Some of these go for $120,000, $3,500 for a photographer. He shoots for celebrities, Marcus. He did Rebecca's dog's birthday party. $160,000 for the aforementioned oven-like warehouse venue. It's actually a steal for that location. They book up 2 years in advance. Every time I'd bring up something ridiculous, like a budget or financial reality, she'd deploy her secret weapon, the tears. "I thought you wanted me to have my dream day," she'd say, eyes already welling up on cue. Or the classic, "I grew up with nothing. I just want this one thing to be special," as if a normal-priced venue would somehow make our marriage less valid. And like the absolute sucker I was, I'd cave every single time. I was paying for all this by draining my savings account faster than a bathtub with the plug pulled out. My credit score was watching all this from the sidelines. Like, "Bro, what are you doing?" But I kept telling myself it was temporary, that after the wedding things would calm down, that this was just pre-wedding stress making her act this way. By the time we were 6 months from the wedding date, I had exactly $967 in savings, down from nearly $35,000 when we met, and credit card debt that made my stomach hurt when I thought about it. Meanwhile, Olivia had a closet full of new clothes, still with tags on them, and was constantly talking about the Bahamas trip. Her bridesmaids were planning. "It's tradition for the bride's friends to treat her to a trip," she explained when I asked about the cost. "I just need spending money. Just spending money for a 5-day trip to a luxury resort." Sure, no problem. Let me just check my money tree out back, see if it's bearing fruit yet. And I kid you not, all that time I told myself this was just a rough patch. That's all. A necessary sacrifice to get to that happily ever after. Everyone talks about, I'd make it work. I always did. And if it meant taking on extra shifts, putting my own plans on hold, or saying no to nights out with friends, to make sure Olivia's dreams stayed on track, then fine. It would all be worth it in the end. Or at least that's what I kept telling myself. But then something happened. Opened my eyes to Olivia's true colors. It started with an Instagram DM, popped up while I was scrolling through mindless reels one night. Olivia was at her Women in Business mixer, which as far as I could tell, involved drinking pink Prosecco and taking photos for Instagram. The message was from someone named Sophia. You don't know me, but I'm friends with Isabel. Who knows, Olivia? I think you should know what she says about you behind your back. My first thought was classic internet drama. Some random person trying to stir the pot or get attention. Almost blocked her immediately. But curiosity got to me. Responded with a non-committal, "What are you talking about?" Her response came with receipts, screenshots of a group chat called Bride Tribe Goals, where Olivia was talking about me, and not in the "my fiancé is so supportive" way. Oh no. Right there in pixelated glory was a message from my beloved. Marcus is basically my emotionally supportive wallet at this point, LOL. My stomach twisted. That's what my fiancé, the woman I was planning to spend my life with, called me. A wallet? With a laughing emoji. Like it was hilarious that I was working extra shifts at the clinic to pay for her dream wedding, while she was doing whatever it is she did all day. I stared at that screenshot for what felt like hours, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. Maybe it was photoshopped. Maybe someone was setting her up. Maybe there was context I was missing. Sophia must have sensed my disbelief, because she followed up, "There's more. A lot more. She talks about you like this all the time in the group." I didn't want to believe it, so I decided to do some digging myself. The next morning, while Olivia was taking her customary 45-minute shower, our water bill was astronomical. I grabbed her iPad from the nightstand. She always left it unlocked, because in her words, "Passwords are too hard to remember." I opened messages, and there it was. The Bride Tribe Goals group chat, with Isabel, Natalie, and a couple other women I'd met briefly at various engagement celebrations. What I found was like watching a masterclass in manipulation. Olivia wasn't just talking smack about me. She was actively teaching her friends how to extract maximum financial benefit from their boyfriends and fiancés. Some choice quotes from my loving partner. "Always create a crisis before asking for money. They're more likely to give when they think it's an emergency." Car troubles are my go-to. Men think they understand cars better than we do, LOL. Don't ask for small stuff, go big. They question the small expenses more than the big ones. Marcus will complain about a $250 dinner, but didn't blink when I needed $2,500 for that business retreat in Miami. If he hesitates, just mention how your ex would have done it no problem. Works every time. I don't even have an ex who was good with money, but Marcus doesn't know that, and her friends ate it up like it was gospel. One of them literally said, "Girl, milk it. Men want to provide. You just have to make them think it's their idea. Milk it." As if I was some sort of cash cow, just standing there waiting to be drained dry. And another one chimed in. "I tried the car thing with Kyle and he sent me $600, no questions asked. How did you get him to pay for your sister's car? I need details." It went on, pages and pages of them, discussing their boyfriends and fiancés, like walking talking ATMs, planning how to get engagement rings upgraded, how to justify expensive purchases, how to hide shopping bags, so he doesn't realize how much you're actually buying. Olivia had apparently become some kind of twisted financial guru to her friend group, the how to bleed your man dry whisperer. But the absolute knife to the heart was when they started talking about their upcoming girls' trip to the Bahamas. "Can't wait for our bestie getaway, just us girls celebrating before the wedding chaos." Isabel wrote, "I told Brandon it was a bridal wellness retreat, LMAO. Natalie replied with crying laughing emoji. Then Olivia, "Marcus is paying for my part. He doesn't even know it yet." And then I read a text. That made me nearly drop the iPad. "After we get back from the Bahamas, I'm thinking another year max before I pivot." Olivia wrote, "You think you can get him to buy property first? Get your name on it." Isabel replied, "Working on it, playing the long game." Olivia typed, "My cousin's divorce settlement was insane, just saying." Natalie chimed in, "That's the goal, sis. Got to secure the bag." Olivia responded, "I felt physically sick, like I might actually throw up on our overpriced area rug that I paid for. 2 years of my life, most of my savings, and thousands in credit card debt, all because I thought I'd found someone who actually loved me. But nope, I was just a financial plan, a long-term investment. With a planned exit strategy, I sat there on our bed, surrounded by the life we'd supposedly built together, tried to process the complete and utter betrayal. All those times she told me she loved me, all those future plans, the kids we talked about having someday, was any of it real? I screenshotted everything, every single message, emailed them to myself, backed them up to the cloud, and for good measure, took photos of the screen with my own phone, then closed the iPad carefully, placed it back exactly where I found it, and went to the kitchen to make dinner, like nothing had happened, because for the first time since I met her, I had the advantage. She didn't know that I knew. When she finally emerged from the bathroom, amid a cloud of expensive bath products I'd paid for, I smiled and asked how her shower was. "Amazing," she said, kissing my cheek. "You're the best for getting that rainfall shower head installed. Oh, and can we talk about my maid of honor's bachelorette party next month? I need a new outfit." "Sure thing, babe," I replied calmly, chopping vegetables. "Whatever you need." If she noticed anything off about my tone, she didn't show it. Probably because she was already scrolling through her phone, no doubt messaging her friends about how to extract more cash from her resident ATM. Little did she know, this ATM was about to go permanently out of service. So the next morning I acted completely normal, kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her, made her favorite green smoothie, before she headed out to a content creation workshop, which based on her Instagram stories, looked suspiciously like brunch with her friends. But inside my head, I was in full strategic planning mode. First thing I did on my lunch break was visit a completely different bank from the one we used. Not just a different branch, a whole different banking institution, where there was zero chance of any information leakage. Opened a new account, requested no paper statements, set up online banking with a password that wasn't some variation of our anniversary or her cat's name. I transferred most of my money there, leaving just enough in our joint account to avoid suspicion, about 2 weeks' worth of normal expenses, so she wouldn't suddenly find herself unable to buy her daily $8 oat milk latte and start asking questions. Then I called my buddy Lucas, who's been my friend since college, and also happens to be a lawyer. Not a divorce lawyer, he does mostly corporate stuff, but knows enough about the legal system to give advice. Had to swear him to absolute secrecy before telling him what was going on. "Dude," was all he said, after I showed him the screenshots. Then he bought me a drink and helped me create what he called a strategic dissolution of cohabitation. Lawyers speak for how to dump your gold-digging fiancé without getting yourself into legal trouble. Turns out since we weren't married yet, things were a lot simpler than they could have been. No actual divorce proceedings to worry about. The ring was technically a gift, so she could keep it. Though I had plans for that too. The main concerns were the lease, any joint property, and making sure she couldn't claim I'd promised to support her financially. Then I did something I'm not proud of, but desperate times and all that. I went through Olivia's physical planner. While she was at networking drinks, she kept this fancy leather-bound planner, where she wrote down all her appointments and plans, because apparently writing things by hand manifests them into reality better than using a digital calendar, like normal people in 2025. What I found was gold. All the details about this Bahamas trip with her friends. According to what I found, they were planning this luxurious 5-day getaway at some all-inclusive resort called Paradise Bay. We're talking spa treatments, private cabanas, yacht day, personal beach butler service, everything. The kind of place that doesn't even list prices on their website, because if you have to ask, you can't afford it. The best part? She'd been dropping hints for weeks that she needed wedding stress relief, and her friends were planning something special. Clearly I was supposed to offer to pay for her portion, without her directly asking. Classic Olivia move. Make me think it was my idea, so she could later say, "But you wanted to pay for it." So I decided to use it against her. The plan started forming in my head, a beautiful petty plan. That weekend I acted all excited. "Babe, I heard through the grapevine about the girls' trip to the Bahamas. I want to cover your part as an early wedding gift." Her eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. "OMG, that would be amazing." "Are you sure? It's kind of expensive." She said expensive in that way people do, when they want you to say, "Money is no object for you, my precious angel." "Absolutely," I replied, with what I hoped was convincing enthusiasm. "You deserve it. Just send me the details and I'll take care of everything." She practically squealed, hugged me tight, then immediately grabbed her phone. "I have to tell the girls." "I bet you do," I thought. "Go ahead and tell them how your emotionally supportive wallet came through again." Over the next 2 weeks, I pretended to plan her portion of this dream vacation, had her forward me all the booking information, asked about her flight preferences, even had her create a wish list of spa treatments. I was playing the role of devoted fiancé, while secretly executing my real plan. I called my landlord, explained I had a family member who needed a place to stay for a few months, got permission to sublet to my cousin Dylan, started slowly moving my most important stuff to a storage unit when Olivia was at her personal training sessions. I was careful to only take things she wouldn't immediately notice. The spare PS5 from the closet, winter clothes since it was summer, important documents, family heirlooms, and my prized collection of sports memorabilia. Meanwhile, I documented everything I'd paid for since she moved in. Every bill, every emergency, every loan, every time she promised to pay me back next month. It added up to over $52,000 in 18 months, not including the engagement ring or wedding deposits. Made copies of all her messages about me being her wallet and her plans to pivot after the wedding. Then came the most satisfying part of the plan. I made some adjustments to her travel booking, not canceling it, just modifying it a bit. I did extensive research and found a wellness retreat about 3 hours away from Paradise Bay called Spirit Awakening. Their website was full of words like transformative, mindful, and digital detox. The photos showed smiling people in loose-fitting clothes, doing yoga at dawn, and eating what appeared to be bowls of grass instead of the luxury all-inclusive resort with her friends. I booked her at this place. No Wi-Fi, shared rooms with strangers, 5 a.m. meditation sessions, mandatory digital detox, phones, and a strict no-alcohol policy. Their daily schedule included mindful silence periods and group emotional processing sessions. The cherry on top? It was actually more expensive than her portion of the resort would have been, and paid in full, non-refundable. I made sure her flight would still land in Nassau, but she'd have a pre-arranged shuttle to take her to the retreat instead of the resort, where her friends would be staying. The shuttle company confirmed they'd have a sign with her name on it and everything. I even called the retreat to make special arrangements. My fiancé is having serious pre-wedding anxiety and phone addiction issues. I told them in my most concerned voice she might try to leave early, or be resistant to the program at first. It's really important she completes the full experience, the wellness coordinator assured me. They were used to resistant participants and had a strict no-refund policy. For those who left early, perfect. Lastly, I compiled everything. The chat screenshots, the expense records, the evidence of her manipulation, into a presentation I titled, "From Your Emotionally Supportive Wallet." Saved it to a flash drive, and printed a hard copy. I planned to leave it for her to find, after she'd already left for the trip. Timing was everything. The trap was set. All I had to do now was wait for her to walk right into it. So the day before her trip, I was the perfect fiancé, helped her pack, double-checked her travel documents, even got her a new pair of designer sunglasses. For the beach, knowing full well there would be no beach time. Where she was going, I was so attentive she actually looked at me suspiciously. "What's gotten into you?" she asked, while trying to cram her 7th bikini into an already overstuffed suitcase. "Just excited for you," I said with a genuine smile. For once I wasn't even lying. "I put all your booking confirmations in this envelope," I told her, handing her a sealed travel document wallet with the resort's logo that I'd carefully photoshopped to say wellness experience. "Don't lose it. It has your resort info, spa reservations, everything." What it actually contained was a confirmation for the wellness retreat, a map showing how far it was from her friend's resort, a brochure highlighting the digital detox policy, and a note that simply said, "The wallet is closed. Don't come home." I'd also included a printed screenshot of her emotionally supportive wallet message, just so there'd be no confusion about why this was happening. "I won't peek until I get there," she said, stuffing the envelope in her carry-on without even looking at it. "I want to be surprised by all the amazing things you've planned." "Oh, you'll be surprised all right." That night she stayed up late, doing a farewell dinner with her bridesmaids. When she came home tipsy and handsy, talking about how she was going to miss me so much, I almost felt bad. Then I remembered her planning her pivot away from me, and suddenly found it very easy to smile and play along. The morning of her flight, I drove her to the airport, carried her bags, kissed her goodbye at security. "Have the best time, babe," I said. "You deserve it." "I love you so much," she replied. "Thank you for this." I smiled. "Don't thank me yet." She thought I was being cute. I was being literal. I watched her disappear through security, then went straight to my car and called Lucas. "She's in the air in an hour," I said. "Operation Freedom is a go." Look, I know that's super cheesy, but Lucas insisted we needed a mission name, and I was too tired to argue. I had about 5 days before she'd be back, and I needed to be long gone by then. Once I was sure her flight had taken off, I tracked it on an app. I went home and got to work. First I changed the locks, cleared with my landlord first, then systematically packed up all her stuff into boxes. Clothes, makeup, shoes, jewelry, all of it. I wasn't trying to steal anything, just making a clean break. I carefully labeled everything and arranged for it all to be moved to a storage unit I'd rented in her name. I left the receipt and key with the building manager, along with a note explaining she could access it when she got back. On top of one of the boxes, containing her personal items, I left the engagement ring. Nestled in its original box, I wrote a note that said, "I was going to be your husband, not your investor. Good luck finding your next wallet." With her stuff taken care of, I focused on my own exit. My cousin Dylan moved in temporarily to watch the place and make sure Olivia didn't somehow break in and trash it when she got back. I relocated to an Airbnb across town that I'd booked under Lucas's name, just in case she somehow tracked down my credit card statements. Then I went completely dark, changed my number, deactivated all social media, told my work I needed personal time off. Due to a family emergency, basically disappeared. According to the plan I'd set up with Lucas, Olivia wouldn't be able to access our apartment. When she got back, her key wouldn't work, and the doorman had instructions not to let her in. All her stuff would be in the storage unit. I'd paid for 1 month in advance. She'd get the key and access info from the building manager. I'd also left a formal letter, breaking off the engagement, just to make it officially clear we were done. Lucas said this was important, from a legal standpoint, in case she tried to claim I'd abandoned her or something. The last thing I did before going off-grid was set up an email autoresponder that simply said, "I'm no longer available as an emotionally supportive wallet. All transactions have been permanently declined." Then I settled in at the Airbnb with some Indian takeout and waited for the fireworks to begin. I wasn't interested in watching her meltdown in real time, but I had asked Sophia, the one who tipped me off initially, to let me know when the chaos started. She seemed to genuinely feel bad about Olivia's behavior and had agreed to be my eyes and ears. I knew exactly when Olivia would land in Nassau. I knew approximately when she'd get the shuttle. I even knew roughly when she'd arrive at Spirit Awakening and discover she wasn't joining her friends at the beach resort. What I couldn't predict was just how spectacularly everything would unravel. The first text from Sophia came about 4 hours after Olivia's plane landed. "It's happening. She just called Isabel freaking out about being at the wrong place." I smiled and turned off my phone. The satisfaction I felt was almost worth every penny she'd scammed out of me. Clean break. No confrontation. No drama from my end. Just gone. The rest of the day was weirdly peaceful. For the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't stressing about bills or watching my savings drain away. While Olivia spent like we were Kardashians, I spent the afternoon working out, grabbed Thai food from my favorite spot, and even started binge-watching a show I'd been putting off for months. I kept my phone off the whole time, not even tempted to check if she'd tried to call. I figured if she was desperate enough to reach me, she'd find a way. But then after a week, I heard about it all. And man, it was glorious. According to Sophia, who turned out to be the only decent one. In that group, Olivia had a complete meltdown at the airport. She'd opened the envelope while waiting for her luxury shuttle and discovered she wasn't going to Paradise Bay with her friends. Apparently, she screamed so loud in the terminal that airport security came over. Then she called her friends panicking about how there must be a mistake, how she was supposed to be at the resort with them, how she couldn't possibly stay at a hippie prison camp. But when she tried to book a room at their resort, everything was full. High season in the Bahamas. No vacancies anywhere decent within her price range, and the wellness retreat she'd been booked at wouldn't refund her money, just like the non-refundable policy clearly stated in the confirmation I'd helpfully printed for her. She was stuck. Either forfeit the whole trip and fly home early, or suck it up and do the retreat. She chose option 3, blow up my phone. I didn't see the messages until weeks later, when I finally got a new phone and recovered my old number. There were over 200 texts and 50 voicemails, evolving from confusion to anger, to threats to bargaining to sobbing. "Must be some mistake with my booking. Answer your phone right now. BTF, is this place you sent me to? I'm calling my dad. He's going to sue you. Please, Marcus, I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. How could you do this to me? The people here don't even have conditioner." That last one still makes me laugh. Of all the complaints, that's what got to her. Then after the first day, when she apparently figured out why this happened, the tone completely changed. "Marcus, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Those messages were jokes. Everyone talks like that with their girlfriends. It doesn't mean anything. The wallet thing was just girl humor. You wouldn't understand. We were all just playing around. None of us meant that stuff." Classic gaslighting 101. Suddenly, I'm the unreasonable one for being upset about my fiancé. literally planning how to drain my bank account and leave me. Yeah, hilarious girl humor. I must have missed the punchline. While I was working overtime to pay for her lifestyle, then she tried calling my parents, my work, my friends. Nobody knew where I was. And the ones who did weren't telling. Lucas had briefed everyone who needed to know, with just enough information to make them firmly on my side. Meanwhile, I was staying at my Airbnb, starting over. I'd taken a 2-week leave from work, using some of my saved vacation time to decompress and process everything. I bought some new clothes, got a haircut, started working out daily at a gym across town, and generally focused on rebuilding myself. From what I heard through Lucas, who heard from the building manager, Olivia eventually returned from her retreat to find herself locked out of my condo. When she finally got her stuff from storage and saw all the evidence I'd left, she completely lost it. Screamed so loud in the storage facility that management called security. The best part? According to Sophia, Spirit Awakening actually wouldn't let Olivia leave early. When she tried to check out after the first night, they reminded her of their strict 5-day minimum policy and the non-refundable payment. They also refused to give her phone back until the digital detox period was complete, as per the special instructions from her caring fiancé. So she was stuck there for the full 5 days, doing sunrise yoga and emotional processing circles, while her friends were posting bikini pics from the beach resort. When she finally got her phone back and saw my email auto-response about the wallet being closed, she apparently threw her phone into a palm tree. I'm not sure if that's literally true or Sophia's embellishment, but I choose to believe it because it makes me happy. Olivia tried to salvage her reputation by posting some BS on Instagram about escaping a controlling relationship and how her spiritual journey in the Bahamas opened her eyes. Posted a bunch of stolen photos from the retreat website, like she'd actually participated, instead of spending the whole time trying to get a signal to call me. But the truth had a way of coming out. Somehow her friends found out about all her manipulation tactics and the things she'd said about them in private messages. Apparently I wasn't the only one who got screenshots. The bride tribe imploded spectacularly. Isabel and Natalie dropped her completely when they discovered what she'd been saying about them behind their backs. Turns out Olivia had called Isabel basic and desperate and said Natalie's boyfriend was one ugly haircut away from being undateable in private messages. Her other friends started distancing themselves. The wedding vendors she'd booked started asking about deposits, and suddenly there was no wallet to handle it. Her social media following actually dropped by almost 1,000 people when she couldn't maintain her posting schedule of perfectly lit, obviously staged candid moments. And yeah, it's been months now. I'm dating again, cautiously. My credit score is recovering nicely. I've got a new rule. No joint accounts until there's a ring on it. And even then, we keep our finances mostly separate. I've moved to a different condo, in a building with better security, and only 3 people have my new address. My savings account is slowly being rebuilt. I blocked Olivia on every platform imaginable, and I've never responded to a single message from her since the day I dropped her at the airport. As for Olivia, I heard through Lucas that she moved to Houston to live with her sister, started a TikTok account about healing from narcissistic relationships, has a highlight reel called My Escape Story. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so pathetic. Last week I got a text from an unknown number. I miss you. I'm sorry. I've changed. I didn't need to ask who it was. I just deleted it and poured myself a fresh coffee. Because here's what I learned from all this. When someone shows you from the start they are gold diggers rather than a partner, believe them the first time and close that account before they drain you dry. Some people don't deserve closure. Some people just deserve consequences. And my wallet, it's doing just fine without her.